Hi everyone and welcome. This is the first lesson tutorial for casting on in the simplest form, the 1x1 single bed cast on. Let's begin. So the first thing to really work on is threading the machine properly. Here you can see I'm using a standard Brother KH 970 machine, and so the yarn gauge is a medium weight yarn. Taking it through the back feeder, through the tension dial, and up into the antenna. I'm holding it on the antenna latch so that it's ready for knitting. Once again, behind the antenna, through the tension dial, bring it in front, through the feeder, and into the antenna. What you want is a nice taut tension, so adjust the tension dial so that your yarn has a good taut feel and secure it on the antenna, ready for knitting. Next, you can see the half pitch lever on the side of the machine. I'll be pushing it all the way down to move the bottom needle bed, as we're only working on a single bed for this first tutorial. Now you're ready to begin. Select the number of needles for your sample. I usually suggest between 25 to 30 on either side of 0, so 50 needles total. And you're going to use the comb to select every other needle in work. At this point, take your yarn, and the green we're using here is actually, in this situation, the good yarn. So you can cast right on with your good yarn. Make sure your machine is set to normal and your tension dial is somewhere in a medium range of a stockinette stitch. Take the carriage one passage across. Here you'll see that the yarn has gone through the needles, and now you're going to take your comb and center it in the yarn so that it can hold your first passage. Make sure that the end of the yarn isn't underneath the comb. If this is your good working yarn, that's really important. If this is the scrap, it's not necessarily as important, but it will give you a nice clean edge if you take the end of the yarn out of the comb. Then you'd like to put a weight right in the middle and use a lighter weight, especially for a small sample. Take one passage back, this time from left to right. Now, all you have to do is put all your needles back in work. And if you need to set your tension dial a little bit looser for a stockinette stitch, go ahead and do that. Somewhere between 3 and 5 is good for a medium weight yarn stockinette stitch. From there, you can continue your passages back and forth. You'll see a small opening at the beginning. Again, this is a very simple, quick cast on, and it does leave a looser edge. If you're joining this, it's not necessarily a big deal. If this is the scrap yarn, we're going to go ahead and add a ravel cord and begin with our good yarn. And that's your 1x1 casting on for a single bed.